Listen to a lecture in a social studies class. As I mentioned in the last class, you should go out and conduct a survey. The subject of the survey is related to eating habits. I want you to meet people and ask them questions about what they eat, where they eat, and so forth. Some of you seemed a bit confused about making the questionnaire for the survey, so I'll go over it now. When conducting a survey, the most important thing is that each respondent, the person you are giving the survey to, can interpret the question in the same way. For example, what time do you usually eat dinner will be answered differently because dinner can refer to either the midday or the evening meal. Always be clear and use precise language. Otherwise, your respondents can be confused and your results won't be as accurate as you'd like. Another thing to keep in mind for your questionnaire is to make sure it looks simple, short, and to the point. Long and complex questions may confuse your respondents. You also should not use any double negatives, such as, "Don't you have no interest in eating out?" It's better to ask, "Do you have any interest in eating out?" In addition, remember to keep all answer choices short if you're asking a multiple choice question. If your choices are too long, people will have a hard time concentrating on all different choices. Besides, make sure you don't include any leading questions. A leading question is a type of question that makes unfair assumptions about respondents. An example of this might be, what is the best day of the week to dine out for a hamburger? The problem with this question is that it assumes that they like hamburgers and eat out on a regular basis, or at least once a week. One last thing I'd like to suggest is that you begin your survey with an interesting or fun question. This gets your respondents interested in what you're doing, and you might end up with more people taking your survey than if you began with a normal or difficult question. 1. What is the teacher mainly talking about? 2. What does the teacher not suggest in the lecture? 3. According to the lecture, what is a leading question? 4. According to the lecture, what is true about good survey questions? Choose 2 answers. Listen to a lecture in a health science class.
For our nutrition topic today, we'll be talking about fat. Fat is an important substance of what we eat. Our bodies need fat to develop properly and to survive. Fat supplies calories and serves as the stored substance for the body's extra calories. It helps our bodies absorb vitamins and minerals. It also assists in building hormones and preserving the nervous system in our bodies. But we have to be careful of what type of fat we eat, as some kinds of fats are not good for your health. There are basically 3 types of fat: unsaturated fat, which is from olive oils, canola oils, and tuna or salmon; saturated fat, from most meats as well as dairy products such as butter and cheese; and trans fat, which is found in junk food. The best type of fat for your body is unsaturated fat. This is because it can lower your cholesterol level, which is bad for the heart. So you should try to eat plenty of that. Generally speaking, the worst type of fat is trans fat. That's because it is artificial or man-made. Trans fat is hardly digested in your body, and this can lead to health problems. Usually, manufacturers use trans fat to help preserve the shelf life of a product. When you look at a food label and see the words hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oil, that means the product contains trans fat. Saturated fat isn't as bad as trans fat because at least this type of fat is natural and your body knows how to digest it. But still, you should be careful not to eat too much of this because it can cause heart disease. Then, how can you tell the difference between saturated and unsaturated fat? Well, the answer is simple. If you look in a frying pan after cooking up some bacon, you'll notice there's lots of oil in there. Wait long enough for the oil to cool, and then you'll find that the oil will harden. It'll become solid. That's because bacon grease is an example of saturated fat. The same thing wouldn't happen to olive oil or canola oil. At room temperature, unsaturated fat remains in its liquid form, unlike saturated fat.
Now get ready to answer the questions. You may use your notes to help you answer. 1. What is the main topic of the lecture? 2. According to the lecture, which of the following is not a function of fat? 3. Indicate whether each of the following describes saturated fat, unsaturated fat, or trans fat. Tick in the correct box. 4. According to the lecture, which of the following is not true? 5. Why does the teacher mention bacon grease?